you guys remember the driver's side speaker didn't work. There's also some other problems. The power mirror doesn't go up and down, but it does go left and right. The power door lock doesn't always work. It sometimes works. I think that's it. Sometimes when I leave the key in the ignition and shut the door, this will lock itself, which is it's not the right behavior for this car, at least. And I'm always afraid I'm gonna lock the keys in the car, even though this is the only door it locks. It doesn't lock any other door. But then the speaker doesn't work at all. But one day I got in and the speaker was working. It was working just fine. And then I opened the door and it stopped. I think this is all the same problem, and it's probably in the boot, just like my Corolla had an issue in the boot. I'm trying to figure out where the brake is, and there's a bunch of different problems, but I'm going to focus on one problem and see if we can find the rest of them. And I'm going to focus on the speaker because I think it's the easiest. We have 2 wires. Both of them go all the way back to the head unit without any interruptions, pretty much. That's all I know without having a wiring diagram. The other wires I don't know much about. So right now we have a pink with brown dots and a purple with blue dots coming out of the speaker. So those go right into the speaker. So we have 2, and through the boot and into here, they're right in this plug. You can see the pink and purple right there. So this lead is plugged into the purple. That's plugged into the purple. And if I touch the 2 leads together, we get a noise. But if I touch it to the purple up here, we get nothing. If I change it to the pink, let me put this one in the pink one. So it's stuck in there. And then put this one in the pink one. There's no connection between either of these wires through the door here. This is what goes into that boot. So we know that both of the wires are broken, but we don't know where. I don't see any damage here. The most likely spot for damage is in the boot because it has to bend all the time. And so the wires can get weak. Although I wasn't aware that this is a common problem at all with the wires wearing out in the boot, but in my Corolla, it had that problem, but that was, caused by me to a point because I shoved those other wires in there. So I filled up the boot too much. But this one hasn't been messed with, so I don't know. So what I'll probably do is pull this cover back. So the speaker wire goes into that harness, and then it goes into the door right there. So I'll probably pull this whole shield back, maybe pull the speaker off, and we'll have a look inside. The plastic shield's off. We can look at the wire, basically. There's no damage in here. And then with the mirror, we can check out all the way back. I can see that there's no damage all the way up into the boot. So I'm just gonna have to pull that boot out and pull it back into the door, and then we'll take it off and see what we find inside. So I just have a pry tool, and I'm just prying it out. Push on this side and kind of keep working it through. It'll come, and then I think there's a clip on the inside here that needs to be removed. All right, so it's out of there. Here's the boot. We could actually check continuity at this point because we've messed with it a lot. So let's see, pink right there, and then this one, nothing. Purple, nothing. So it's definitely broken, because usually when it's partially broken, you'll be able to wiggle it around and it'll kind of make contact, but it's just not doing anything. I have to cut this clip thing off. So I got a marker so I can try and attempt to put this thing back in the same spot, but I might have to take this tape off anyways, so might be for nothing. This tape they use doesn't leave a whole lot of sticky residue. Like, it's a little bit, but it's not too bad. Found like the more expensive the tape is, the less residue it leaves. So you buy cheap tape, it leaves a bunch of crap. It's disgusting. Slide this thing back. Oh, look at that. Definite damage there. Look at that. Total separation. Wow. What the heck happened? Look at, it's like they were bent backwards. Look at that. How many broken wires? So there's your 2 speaker wires. So see, we were tracking down the speaker wire issue, and like we had all these problems, but we knew like the speaker wire one would be an easy one to figure out. So we focus on that one, and that leads us here to the rest of the problems. So like, I'm amazed as much was working as was working. Like, there's a lot of broken wires, almost every one of them. They're all dry. Like, they don't want to bend very easily. It's almost like the car was just sitting for years, and then someone opened the door. Like, it's just wore them out. But I mean, you know, how old is this thing? 1996, so 24 years old. It only has 130,000 miles, so it definitely like sat a little bit. Like, I'm kind of amazed how many broken wires are here. I'm almost thinking like, should I go find another door harness like from a junkyard? Because if I repair this, like, I either need to splice wire from like here to here so that it's all new wire inside the thing, or like maybe I could cut all these and make it slightly shorter. But are we gonna have the same problem again? Like, that's a lot of broken wires. There's the speaker, and I don't know what else is in here. This would be the mirror. So the mirror is brown with white, green with red, and yellow with brown. And so we had the mirror was working side to side but not up and down, and then here we have the yellow with brown right here that's broken, and then the green and red and the brown and white here are continuous. So those two were making it go side to side. This one was making it go up and down. And I'm sure I broke some more when I took it apart, but like, it's pretty crazy. So I'll have to think about that. Do I want to splice them all or go get another harness? I think I have an idea. So I pulled these out of an old harness that I had. I think I could use this wire to repair this car. So I'll just replace like a section of like 10 inches or so through here. And that's what will be in the boot. Otherwise I could make a repair here, but then those soldered connections would be in that boot, and they would be flexing every time the door opens, and they would just break. If I replace, like, let's say we replace 10 inches of wire through that whole thing, then there's more of a chance of it lasting. I still don't really like this, but I don't have time right now to go get a harness. I don't really want to pay for one either. So we'll put this in back together like this. Hopefully everything will work. And if I ever have problems with this door harness again, I know what needs to happen. I have to go get a door harness and just replace it, because there's no more messing with this after this. So I'll have to do that tomorrow though, because I'm out of time for tonight. All right, it's the next day. So here's the wire that I got out of the other harness. So this is like factory Toyota wire. I'm just gonna splice this on the straight section. So this section stays fairly straight inside the car, and then this section stays fairly straight inside the car, and then this is the section right here that bends. Ideally, you'd want to stagger the connections so that it doesn't make it too thick in one spot, but that's going to make it a big pain to get the lengths right. So I'll probably stagger a little bit, like maybe half of them or maybe just this plug, I'll just stagger this one forward, and then this plug, I'll do them all here. Same over there. I have a lot of colors to work with, so maybe try to match colors as best as possible, but it's not going to match perfectly. So yeah, I'll just cut everything off, start stripping them, and then I'll be using the solder connectors that you don't have to crimp. So they've been working good so far, so try some more of those. All right, so I cut the plugs off staggered, and then I cut the other end of the harness staggered, the same. And then I took one of the long pieces of wire. This is one of the pieces that got cut out, and then I cut the parts harness to that same length. So all of these wires are the exact length that we need to splice, and that accounts for the stagger, and it accounts for the overlap after you strip them back and wind them together. So they are slightly longer, maybe half an inch longer than the amount of harness that I cut out. So now I just need to strip every wire and then start putting them together and match up the colors. There's also some are like more heavier current carrying. There's some larger gauges, and I actually have some larger gauges in here too, so we'll try and match the gauge as best as possible. I'm not a fan of this one, this brand. Second one I've had fail that's like brand new. It did it again. Won't turn on. Oh, there we go. Piece of... It's, I think, running the heating element, but not the fan. So it just sits there and overheats. Alright, so all connections have been made for the pigtails. It's a little fatter than it was, but these squeeze together pretty well. They're pretty low profile, so there shouldn't be much of an issue there. These should be at the point where it's barely going out of the car, just inside the car. And these are almost to where the plugs start turning when they come in to the kick panel. Now just move them over to the car and do the other ends. Alright, there it is, all done. Here's the other one. So our main symptom, well, the one I was chasing down was no speaker. Let me plug this in. What we got? It's unlocking because the key's in, but it's perfect. That works. So everything on that switch works. Where's the mirror? Right mirror's working. Left mirror's not working at all. Oh, it's because it's not plugged in. All four directions work. Try the speakers. I'd say the speaker works. So it looks like everything works. Now I'll tape it up, shove it back in. But that will have to be tomorrow because I'm out of time for tonight. Okay, so back out today. Basically, I'm gonna wrap this up. I don't know how much, maybe just a little bit of tape, I guess. I don't really want to constrict it too much, because I feel like if it's allowed to kind of like, they're all allowed to move against each other a little bit, then it might help with longevity. Also, they're slightly different lengths, I think. Like if you pull all of them back, there's a little bit of different, I mean, it's not much. Maybe I'll zip tie it up and see how it is, and then if I like it, then I'll tape it or something. So just need to get this into the door, basically. All right, so both plugs plugged in. A little bit of tape there, and then into the boot, which the boot almost didn't go over the solder joints. So if I had not staggered that one plug, I don't think it would have made it. But It's loose now. I would say there's probably no extra room in there. Like, I wouldn't put any more wires in there. Maybe 2 small ones, but. And then coming out, and then zip ties on the little clip bracket there. I still have to do the tint on that glass, so I can't put the door all the way back together, but I can at least finish the speaker and stuff, put all that back together. So I was putting the speaker back in. This surround here, foam surround, like, it's falling apart because it's old, but this should be a little thick and touch the door panel to try to help the waves off the front of the cone only come in the car and not just bounce around inside the door panel. And the back of it has another foam seal that seals the hole of the steel in the door. This is a good speaker setup. A lot of people, like, that don't know what they're doing will either take the speaker out of here or take the whole thing out and just shove it, slap a speaker in there, and there's holes. And this stock speaker will perform better by far being sealed off than anything that you could throw in there aftermarket and leave holes with. And something I want to do actually is I'd like to take the it's like a water seal here, just to kind of keep water out of the door panel. I'd kind of like to rebuild that out of fiberglass and make hard panels for this entire door to kind of seal up the door. You're never going to 100% seal it because you need the drip holes out the bottom of the door for water, and you need the window to be able to move, so this channel is always going to be open. But sealing the door panel, I really want to do that and just see like how much better we can make the stock speakers sound without even putting aftermarket speakers in it, because you could make it better, and that'll, when you do finally like install aftermarket speakers properly, like, it'll just be that much better. So that's something I want to try, is just kind of seal this door up and make it the best possible environment for the stock speakers and just see how good they could get. So there's nothing wrong with them right now. Most people don't need any more than a properly working speaker like this. Like, this will do the job. I'll probably do like a stereo build video on this at some point, but just putting it back as is right now. So these wiper arms are paint's peeling off and they glare right in my eyes. I'm gonna just sand them down real quick and paint them with trim black. All right, it's about a year later. We'll follow up on this. Wiper arms, still in good shape. Just getting hit with bugs, of course. Wiring, I have not had a single issue with the wiring repair in this entire time. Everything works, whether the door is open or closed. All works great. Nothing on, but it works. So yeah, like I said, been a year since we fixed the wiring, and haven't had any issues in this whole time. Works great. I'm not gonna worry about it. I think it's gonna be fine long term, and that's how it's gonna stay. Just found this on the floor.